Hey guys, what's up? It's morning and I'm sitting here eating my morning bowl of oatmeal and drinking some really delicious dark roast coffee like a true dietitian. And that is right, just like the title of this video says, it's been a week and a day since I took my CDR or Registered Dietitian exam, and who'da thunk it, I passed and I feel incredible. I'm finally Caroline Weeks, RD. That's my official title now, and I've worked so long and hard for this moment, and let's just say I've had an amazing week of celebration and sharing it with friends and family. So I just wanted to make a short and sweet video kind of explaining and going through some of the things they don't tell you about this giant exam that you have to take at the end of 4 years of undergrad and then an internship. And also kind of share how I personally decided to study for it and how I prepared, just to give you some insight for those of you who are about to take the exam yourself. So here we go. So to break down in very simple terms the basics of the exam, the content, the format, I'm going to just refer to my phone here. I'm looking at cdrnet.org, which gives a frequently asked question page, which you can also go to for more concrete information written down. But first of all, the test is multiple choice, which for those of you who like that, awesome. For those of you who don't, I'm sorry. It's taken on a computer at a very, very rigid testing center. So I had to go to Pearson VUE testing centers. The nice thing about that is that they're offered all over the country. So I was in between Minneapolis and Des Moines at the time of taking my test. So for a while I thought I was going to take it in Des Moines, and then I second guessed and was able to reschedule and take it in St. Paul. So that's the beauty of these online testing centers. However, they're very strict. You cannot bring anything, I repeat, anything in with you to the testing center. So the way I did it, I made sure to take my exam on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. I just wanted to get it over with, and there was a time slot available there. I dressed in really comfy clothes. I brought a sweatshirt because I didn't know if I'd get cold, and I just hate being cold when I'm taking a test. And I just left my phone in my car because you definitely can't bring your cell phone in with you. They give you a locker to put your personal belongings in. You have to have 2 forms of ID, so I brought my driver's license and my passport and my keys, obviously, so I could get the heck out of there once I was done. But once you get in, it's kind of scary, so I just want those of you who have testing anxiety to know this ahead of time, because it kind of made my nerves get a little jumpy, jittery. You have to have a palm reader read your palm on both hands, I swear, like 15 times to prove that it is exactly you who's taking the test. And they inspect your arms. They have a professional glasses reader if you wear readers or have a prescription pair of glasses, to make sure that you don't have those fancy Google glasses. So it's pretty intense, so just have a heads up about that. But I got a little carried away. So the test is taken on a computer, you're given headphones, it's multiple choice, and the topics they span all across the board in the field of dietetics. So this is what's a little bit difficult in terms of studying. Right now, as of 2017, because they recently updated it, the domains or the areas of which you're tested upon are first, principles of dietetics. Honestly, that's pretty much just the basics, kind of food science stuff, metabolism. I'm guessing that's what falls under that category. Domain 2, nutrition care for individuals and groups. So this is clinical nutrition care process. Domain 3, management of food and nutrition programs and services. And lastly, domain 4, food service systems. So you've got food service, management, and then clinical. However, it doesn't really list it cut and dry in these domains. However, there are a lot of questions related to research principles, business math, kind of economics, which goes along with the management, law and government regulations and acts, and a ton of community stuff. You've got to know about community agencies related to nutrition. You've got to know about counseling under the nutrition care process and all of the theories like Maslow's hierarchy of needs to be utmost basic, and then it goes on from there. So there's a lot on there. I don't know the answer to this, and I swear nobody I know knows. But there's this crazy math algorithm that somehow tests you, and it ranks you, and it scores you based on difficulty level of questions, and nobody knows how you get the score you get at the end. But in terms of number of questions, because this is a very, very frequently asked question, there are variable lengths of this one test, let me tell you. So the minimum number of questions that any one person can get is 125. 100 of those questions are scored, and 25 of those supposedly aren't scored. However, this tricky little algorithm knows, or tries to know, and tries to get inside your head, like, if you answered a question wrong, it will then prompt you another question related to that same subject to be like, did she guess? Does she really know what she's talking about? Let's really find out and see. So the maximum number of questions, because you can go above that baseline of 125, is 145 questions. And this is all within a 2.5-hour testing period with no breaks, no scheduled breaks. And I used what I felt like was pretty much all of the time. I've never not finished a test because I ran out of time. And by the end of it, I was getting a little nervous. I had about 25 or 28 minutes left. There's a little clock that ticks away at the top of your screen as you're taking the exam. So I've also heard though from other friends that they ran out of time, or they finished in like an hour and it was a breeze. So it really kind of depends on the questions you get, because it's luck of the draw. So as far as scoring goes, there's a total score of 50, and in order to pass the dietetic exam, you have to get a 25. So again, I don't really know how it works out in the end, but as long as you see a 25 or above, you know you're golden. Now, they say that you're sworn to secrecy about what the exam says, so I feel as committed to the practice and code of ethics that I really shouldn't give that in-depth of detail. However, I felt like I didn't really receive that many clinical questions, and I felt like I got a lot of management questions. So I don't really know, that could have just been me. It could have been the strength of my internship program and the area of passion that I had and what I was, more equipped to answer. However, I was really happy that I reviewed my management math equations, because equations are easy points. I feel like I got every single one of those right, so definitely study with that. In terms of study guide, I used the Gene Inman book, and I felt like that made me confident going in, and that it was an awesome review. So I've heard other people using other sources, but that's just what I used. Lastly, I just want to quickly talk about my study methods and strategy for studying. I was kind of unique in the fact that as soon as my internship was gone, I took about a month-long trip to France. I had the opportunity to visit a longtime friend of mine. He was an old foreign exchange student that stayed with me when I was in middle school, and he and I had kept in touch, and I got to stay with him in Paris, and I speak French fluently, so I got to really just live the Parisian lifestyle. And then I got to go to Belgium, and I traveled to London alone. And that was the first time really traveling out of the country alone, and I thought that was an amazing growth, kind of opportunity for growth for me. And I learned a lot about myself, and I'm proud that I took that plunge and did that trip. And also at the end of a really intense internship experience, wow, that vacation was much needed and appreciated. So I was very privileged that I planned and saved and was able to go through with that personal goal of mine. I brought my huge study guide to Europe with me, and honest to goodness tried to study as much as I could. So on the 8-hour or 6.5, 8-hour trip, plane trip there, I tried to study. On the train to and from Paris to London, I studied. In the car on the way to the south of France with my buddies, I studied. So I did try, but there were a lot of distractions, obviously, and it wasn't until I got back at kind of the beginning of August that I just really hit the books hard. And honestly, I crammed for a week. I read about, gosh, probably 20 pages a day of Gene Inman, if not more, maybe less some days, depending on how I felt. I went by feel, and I made flashcards here and there where I saw fit, especially with the equations and the math heavy stuff. And I was working another job kind of on the side, and so to and from on the train and commute en route to my job, I would listen to the audio recording of Gene Inman. So I tried to be very, very efficient and productive with my time. I found a really quiet study space in my city and studied at Starbucks. That seemed to work for me. Home was a bit of a distraction, so just find a place that works for you. After you're done with the test and you don't know how many questions you're gonna get, so it just keeps prompting you more and more questions after questions, and I was getting a little nervous by the end, and I felt like my concentration was getting lost. But finally it goes kind of black, and I could tell that the computer was loading, and then it prompts you with a survey. And this is like the bane of everybody's existence here, because you just want to know your score. And so I tried to accurately, answer the questions, but I just wanted to see my score. So then the little hourglass comes up, like the computer's thinking and loading, and oh my gosh, what probably is only like 7 seconds of loading felt like an eternity. And then your screen comes up saying whether or not you passed, and it said pass, but it wasn't in big giant letters. I had to really look for it and look for my score, so it was the most nerve-wracking moment of my life thus far. I mean, I can't put it any other way. I hate to say that. But once I found out I passed, I called all my friends and family, well, family first, of course. I called my mom, I called my dad, and then I called my job, because I got a job offer, and this job offer was contingent upon me passing the exam, which added to major pressure. I'm gonna make another video about jobs here in a bit, so don't worry about that. But then I called my internship director, because she was like a mother figure to all of us, and spread the good news, and it was amazing, and I went out and celebrated after. In Minneapolis, there's a donut shop called Glam Doll Donuts, and it's just like my little heaven on earth. So I went there and had donuts with some friends, and then I went out to a little rooftop bar and got a martini, my favorite drink, with a good girlfriend of mine that night. So was able to celebrate, and I made a Minneapolis bucket list for myself the week of passing, because I was gonna celebrate as much as I could that whole week. So I got to cross off things off my bucket list, like going to cafes or restaurants that I hadn't yet gone to. I went to a Twins baseball game, and it was just perfect. And I didn't feel guilty eating baseball park food or donuts, because hey, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I had worked so hard for this one moment. So if you do pass, please take time to thank yourself and be kind to yourself, and I would love to hear from you guys, your experience with the test. Who else is an RD out there, a recent RD? I think it's so important that we support each other in this tight-knit community, and I'm really excited for what's to come. I had also mentioned that I got a job offer toward the end of my studying time and all of that, and I've accepted the job offer. I'll actually be moving away from Minneapolis, which really, really makes me sad to say, because I feel like I found my city up here. It's just so cool. There's so much culture and so many things to do. However, in this field, you've really got to jump on that first job opportunity, and I think it's a dream job. So I'll be working actually as a clinical pediatric dietitian for endocrinology disorders and cystic fibrosis, and I am over the moon excited about it. The ability to specialize at this stage in my career is such a blessing for me, and I'm excited to just jump in and learn all that I can and collaborate with my interdisciplinary team of doctors, nurses, and just get started. Please don't forget to subscribe below to my channel. I'm hoping to put a bunch of amazing content out there as a registered dietitian, and again, become more just involved in general on social media. So if you yourself are a registered dietitian or just passed the RD exam and want to reach out in the form of comment or question, please do, because I love interacting with all of you guys. So until then, I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.